We are recording.
Sweet.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the David Paul Seymour Show. I'm your host, David Paul Seymour. Joining me tonight is my good friend and beer drinking compadre, Brian Profilio.
Cheers.
Brian is from the Budos band, and Brian is one of my literally favorite visual artists on the planet. So
Thank you, David. That's sweet, man. Thank you.
Oh yeah, dude. Let me turn my volume up just a bit here, so I can hear all your wisdoms better. I love your Zoom hat. Tell us about the Zoom hat.
Well, I mean, honestly, probably like many of us, I haven't Zoomed before all this bullshit started, right? So, I'm a school teacher, so we have a weekly Zoom meeting, staff meeting.
Yeah.
And now the band has a weekly band meeting. The Budos band has a weekly Zoom meeting. And then my wife's friends, we have a quizzo.
A quizzo.
Which is like popular in pubs.
Yeah. Isn't that a like a pop star? Quizzo?
I don't know. I don't even know, dude. I figured like fuck it, man. Like we're all in quarantine. I might as well spice things up a little bit. So this is my quizzo. This is my Zoom hat.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Well, this is the first. This is the fourth show I've taped, and this is the first one with my Zoom background.
Yeah, no, it looks good, dude.
Can you see it, or do you see what's actually behind me?
No, I see some your artwork, dude. I see some nice inked up mountains and some skull faces and stuff. Green. Yeah. It looks good.
Right on.
Yeah.
So, first off, I think the most important thing that we should discuss is like what we're drinking on right now.
Okay. What do you got?
I am drinking. This is like the Twin Cities classic antique. Whoa, it disappeared. Ooh, trippy. The Twin Cities. It's Grain Belt from Minneapolis. This is probably like 100-year-old brand. That.
Wow, I've never had one of those, dude.
Yeah. Oh, when you come again, man, we got to do it up. It's like what they call an antique beer. You know what I mean? It's like back in the day, you had like Schlitz and
old style.
The old style, Lowenbrow, PBR, all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
I'm drinking New Buck stuff. This is from Staten Island, man. Killsborough. It's okay. one of two breweries on Staten Island. We got Flagship in Killsborough.
Nice.
I got myself one of these Pack Mentality, man.
That's great.
It's nice. It's one of the more modern brews. It's all hazed up and it's delicious. High alcohol.
Yeah, high octane beer.
Mm-hmm.
I got a glass shaped just like that. Not to get too nerdy, but
my wife stole that from Hudson Valley Brewery upstate New York. And at first, I thought it was a wine glass, and then I drank a beer out of it, and I was like, "Oh man, this is brilliant! Like it just works." So now, like,
does it have a nose on it?
Yeah, it got a little lip up there, so when you drink, it just kind of tilts it right in your faccia brute. It just kind of pours it right in.
Yeah, I like that.
Mm-hmm. No, it's great.
Mine's just straight out of a can tonight because that's Grain Belt. That's the way it's meant to be drank. You just that's how your granddad did it, man. Your granddad, his friends would have seen him drinking Grain Belt out of a glass like that. He would have got slapped around.
Oh, I would have. I'm sure he would have broke the glass right over my nose, man. I would have got smacked in the face.
Yeah, he's like, "What are you doing?"
That's not how you drink a beer. I would have got roughed up, man, for sure.
Yeah.
I know.
Well, I feel like we got a lot to talk about, man, because kind of, I guess on a serious note, not to make it a downer, but just for real though, I think everybody around the country knows that New York's obviously the hardest hit by this shit.
Yeah.
So how are you and your family and the band and friends? How's everybody making out that you care about?
Well, all right. So obviously you're right, man. New York is is rough as hell.
Yeah.
The good part about all that for me is I live on Staten Island. So Staten is actually pretty mellow.
Okay.
Staten Island's not, for those of you listening, and you don't know about Staten Island. It's one of the 5 boroughs. It's it's detached there because it's an island.
Yeah.
But the coronavirus here on the island isn't that bad. I mean, I haven't looked at the numbers because when I started looking at the numbers, when all this started kicking off, every day I'd wake up and look at the numbers, and like I couldn't wrap my head around the numbers. It was like 1,300 people, 2,800 people,
Yeah.
4,500 people.
Yeah.
And then it was like 10,000 people, and I'm like, Jesus. And now I don't even know. I know it's bad. I know New York has a ton of cases, but Staten is pretty good. The good thing about this borough is it's way more divided and way more suburban and way more like it's like they call it the borough of parks, right? So there's tons of trees. There's tons. They really do. They call it the borough of parks.
Yeah.
There's tons of there's plenty of places to go where you can just get away from people. It's easy on Staten Island to go, walking out into the woods and not see anybody, as opposed to Manhattan, as opposed to Brooklyn, which the population density is just so heavy and so extreme that they just can't contain the virus. So in this particular circumstance, I'm really glad I live on Staten Island. I mean, I'm proud of being a Staten Islander, but I'm really glad I live here because the virus is not like, it's not out of control like it is in the other boroughs where it's just, I mean, if I lived in Brooklyn, I literally wouldn't even step out of the house, man. I'd just be freaked.
Yeah.
And if I had an apartment in Manhattan, there's the numbers there are so high.
Yeah.
That it's just crazy. But as far as me and my family, we're doing great, man. Like, it's kind of easy, honestly. I mean, you wake up, I got my little son. He's 3 years old. We have a great day. We go out in the yard. We go out front. We walk around the block. We have our routines. I'm a school teacher, so I got some computer magic to do, in terms of attendance and putting up assignments. And once a week, my old lady goes out by herself, mask up, gloves up, runs out, grabs the groceries, comes home. That's it. We get the beer delivered. Everything else is cool. So, it hasn't been bad for us. We're lucky because obviously there's families out there struggling and there's people out there having a really hard time on a day-to-day with this shit. So, Staten, fortunately, isn't really that bad.
Okay. That's good. That's good. It's
yeah,
good.
No, it's cool. It is.
Yeah.
So my brother lives in Brooklyn, man, and like he looks out the window and he won't even leave because it's like people don't have cars out there, man. They just walk to grocery stores and they're walking to wherever they're going, and it's like the sidewalks are crowded, man. You can't keep that 6-foot rule, man. It's tough out in Brooklyn. And Manhattan, I don't even know. I mean, it looks like a ghost town from what I've seen, but
yeah, that's got to be impossible there to.
Yeah, dude, I can't imagine. Honestly, it sounds terrible.
Yeah, it does. So like I knew you were a school teacher already. You're an art teacher, right?
Yes, sir.
Makes sense.
17 years, man.
It's crazy. Professor shit. What did I call you before? Professor Prof or
yeah.
I don't know. I don't remember, man. God, I'm making an asshole of myself. So yeah, I was gonna ask you like how's that been? You obviously you're able to teach.
I mean, again, I got lucky with this one too because there's there's math teachers and English teachers and history teachers that are working, on the every day, putting up assignments and trying to get these kids to learn that stuff. As us art teachers and gym teachers and stuff, we're lucky. So I put up basically an assignment a week. I take attendance every day. It's all through Google Classroom, and it's not too bad. I mean, the biggest pain in the ass every day is just taking attendance.
Yeah.
So, you know, but it's tough not, being with the kid. You know, I mean, how would you like to learn art online, man? It sucks, right?
Oh yeah.
I mean, having a teacher next to you and sitting with them and like watching the pencil and watching how they do it, that's how you learn. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, all this online stuff. It's like, what are you really learning? You know?
Yeah. Yeah, I could see it working out with math or English, but fucking art, that it's such a tactile,
Nah.
visual,
Yeah.
even I would say even a social kind of situation. You go in an art class and you get a project and you're working side by side with other students, or your teacher could be you, and that's gotta fucking suck for both you and them, I would think.
Yeah, man, I know. And like, honestly, I'm gonna crack one, boy.
Bush.
If I don't think I'm going back till the fall, man.
I've heard a lot of people saying, I'm originally from Mississippi, and I hear people rumbling about it down there, all the way to up here to,
oh yeah,
that school may not be back the rest of the year. Kids might just be out of fucking school for the rest of the year.
No way, man. I mean, think about it. Even if shit clears up, let's just say everything clears up and we're good.
Yeah.
What are we gonna go back for the month of June?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, maybe, but like.
Well, then you got to toggle back over to a whole different model of you go back to that model, which I guess wouldn't be that hard. I mean, that's what everybody's used to. You pick that right back up, I guess. But after all this work of getting all this distance learning shit established and all that, then to just, like you said, go back for a few weeks would be kind of stupid.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen. I mean, they already canceled all the final exams and Regents exams. They canceled them all. So
yeah,
I mean, nah. I'm thinking this is it, man. Until September.
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
So I guess obviously not only you're a teacher, but you're an artist. You're also a member of a really well-known band. You were telling me before you guys were doing a virtual meeting and stuff like that. What are you guys talking about? Like, steps or like,
Yeah, we have an album recorded, like fully done. We actually did it about a year ago, give or take. Well, here's the weird thing about the Budos band is dudes are living all over the country at this point. I mean, we got dudes living in California, we got dudes living in Pennsylvania. So it's not like the old days where like, all right, it's Thursday night, let's go to band practice. I mean, dudes are everywhere, so we can't just get together and practice. But I'm gonna keep this pretty. There was a hip hop band that everybody knows from Staten Island that we were supposed to link up with and make an album with.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and so we went into the studio and we recorded like about 15 2-minute long mini Budos songs that we just sort of made up.
Yeah.
And me as a drummer, I'm like, all right, yeah, someone's going to be rapping over this shit. So I kept it real, snare and hi-hat, real simple, no rolls, no big cymbals. And we recorded these songs, and Red Tape showed up, and we couldn't give the album to that band because financially it was a disaster between the record labels and the managers and all this money. So now the Budos are sitting on all these songs that we made for this hip hop group. So we're like, let's just put them out.
Yeah.
So now we got all these, I think we made out of the whole thing, maybe we got about 10 or 12 fully hashed out Budos songs with horns and percussion and the whole thing. We went in and we recorded horns over stuff and percussion over stuff. So we got a fully finished Budos record that was supposed to come out in November, But what the label's going to do is the Adaptone Records, which is our label.
Yeah.
There's another band called the Menahan Street Band on that label.
Oh yeah, dude. Oh yeah.
Yeah, they're great, man. So they're gonna do like an alternating thing where it's like every week we're gonna put out a song, they're gonna put out a song, and Sharon Jones, who was the queen of the Daptone label, who passed away, they got some posthumous songs of hers, so throw one or two of hers in there. So over the next like 3 months, every week they're gonna put out a song.
Oh.
And then our whole album, which will probably come out, I don't know, in the fall somewhere. So that's how that shit's going right now. I mean, we're not playing live. Obviously, no one's playing music, and we're not practicing or nothing. So, but good thing is for us, luckily we had a whole album just kind of chilling in the chamber there. So we're gonna let that shit roll out week after week.
You in the shoot?
Yeah, dude.
Man, that whole thing sounds like that would be an awesome, like epic, like a 7-inch box set, wouldn't it? Like that would be so rad.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if the label, they're smart guys, so they might do something like that.
Yeah.
Figure out how to release all these songs. I mean, they do like a Daptone's Greatest Hits. They did one a couple of years ago called Daptone Gold, but now the label isn't what it used to be, obviously, because Sharon passed and Charles Bradley passed. But maybe something like that.
Like, did she do a lot of the admin, like a lot of the decision making and work of the labels?
No, she was purely creative, actually.
Okay.
The bass player for the Dap Kings, Gabe Ross, he's the brainchild, man.
Okay.
It's his whole thing. I mean, people wouldn't know looking at him. I mean, the dude wears the black sunglasses. He's got the little fro with the Fu Manchu, and he's just back there playing the bass. Yeah. And that dude, he's the brains behind the whole thing, man. I mean, he started the label, and he's calling a lot of the shots.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that Menahan Street Band, man. That's another killer band.
They're great, man.
Same label. It's like such a fucking cool. I love that whole aesthetic that both you and they have,
Yeah, they're pros, man. They're great.
So what'd you crack open just a minute ago?
This was Sierra Nevada Hazy IPA.
Yeah, I recognize it.
And I got myself a glass of Old Forester here.
Oh, nice. I thought maybe you switched beer glasses. Like, it was like going to ask you, like, is that the appropriate little, hazy little thing IPA glass there?
Oh, I don't fucking know, man. I just drink everything out of this glass.
Yeah, it's fucking cool.
No, this glass is great, man. I drink everything out of this shit.
Yeah.
Whatever comes my way, I just throw in this glass.
Chug. No, I'm just kidding.
Chug it.
Chug it.
No, I'm all out of beer after this, man.
Uh-oh.
Well, I mean, in my room here.
Yeah. Well, I don't have a problem with this show being the kind of show where somebody like goes, hey, man, I got to go run to the fridge because I'm out of beer. You know what I mean?
I brought 2 with me just, because.
Yeah, I know I did too. I don't know. I might have to call Shannon in here to bring me the glass that looks like yours, and we could both drink out of the same like fucking glass. That'd be really dope.
Hell yeah, man. Yeah, sure.
Hey, bring me that old glass that looks like this. I got an assistant off camera.
That's sweet.
Yeah. Yeah. I have assistants working around here for me now.
Upgrade, man.
No, I don't really. It's just my Yes, that's it. Wait till you see this, dude.
Let me see. I love beer glasses. Oh, fuck, dude. You have the same glass.
Same glass. Mine's got shit. This isn't gonna. It's like disappearing into the thing.
Yeah, that's cool too, man. You got
that's cool too. Whoa, it's like no glass.
Hey, well, maybe pour some beer in there and it'll show up.
Yeah, maybe. I was gonna tell you because it's got a So this glass is a piece of glassware from Burial, which I know you have frequented in the past. So.
I have, man. One of my favorite breweries, man.
But it's got an Ulfbherts. on it that I actually drew for Barry.
No, the sword, the Ulfbherts sword.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, let's see if it shows up.
Yeah, please, man. Let me
Oh,
see.
please. No.
She's gone.
It's gone. Look, that's weird, man. Oh. Well, you'll just have to take my word for it.
Yeah, I believe you, man.
Yeah.
The Ulfbherts sword.
Yeah, Ulfbherts. I watched a documentary. This guy, the next state over in Wisconsin, he figured out how to make them, like, because there's replicas and shit, but like they're not authentic like how they did it, And well, real quick for everybody who's watching who's not as obviously as fucking nerdy as me and Brian are, an Ulfbert was like that was like the true Viking sword. That was like and like Ulfbert, even back then, it was like branding. Like to have the name there meant something. You know what I mean?
Oh,
if you
if you had an Ulfbert, basically you're on the Mercedes Benz of swords, man. It's not like everybody had a fucking Ulfbert, man. Maybe there was like a half dozen of them.
Right, yeah.
You were a bad motherfucker if you had an Ulfbert.
Right. You were doing all right. You were
cool, man.
You were gathering enough pelts or whatnot to
you were a bad boy if you had an Ulfbert back in the day. So now, that they're a symbol of wealth and prosperity and ferocity,
Yeah. So this guy in Wisconsin, so the big thing about it too is like, cause it's baffled, much like the pyramids, it's baffled modern day, what do you call it? Sword blacksmiths. Yeah. How the fuck did they do it? Because they wouldn't have had enough technology to get the fire hot enough to form that kind of blade that they had.
Right.
That those were actually made out of. So they were like, how the fuck did they do it? So this guy in Wisconsin, he's like a historian type, dude. And like he spent dedicated like 10, 12 years of his life, this guy, like figuring it out. And the whole documentary went through about the sword history, and then about this guy. It kind of ping pong back and forth, and this guy like figuring it out. And he showed how he did it. And I mean, it's crazy, but he does it with just very fucking primitive means,
Did he build a big dome?
It almost was like a fucking 55-gallon barrel like kind of thing, and he just kind of fucking kept fucking with it and rigged up the inside. So
right, all right,
yeah.
Because I saw a special, a documentary where this dude tried to recreate an Ulfbert, and in order to get the heat that you're talking about, he built this like crazy, like mound.
Oh yeah.
It was like a beehive kind of looking thing, like this, where there was all this, combustibles inside, and the blade would go on the bottom.
Yeah.
And it would get hot enough to create an Ulfbert.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the Cadillac, man. The Ulfbert.
Yeah. I'll have to find that, man. I'll send it to you.
Please do, man. I would love to watch because I'm fascinated by that stuff.
Yeah.
Cheers, Dave.
Cheers, buddy. So how's the rest of the Budos holding up? I finally got the opportunity to meet all those cats, like when you guys played here in our town last time, and you guys were very generous letting us hang out. And
oh, come on, man. Dave, come on, dude. Come on, buddy. Least we could do, man. That was great. But the boys are good, man. I just talked to not every single one of them, but most of them. Everybody's cool. Everybody's hanging tough. I mean, it's harder for guys that have a lot of kids, young kids.
Yeah.
They want to get out of the house. See, I'm lucky. I got a 3-year-old, so you could just put on Paw Patrol and fucking Pete the cat, and he doesn't know what world he's in. But like, if you have a 7, 8, 9, 10-year-old, like they know what the fuck's going on. They know something weird's happening.
Yeah.
Like I feel bad for those parents, and especially they need to homeschool these kids. Like there's some rough situations. I mean, and never mind the financial situations for some people.
Yeah.
But like the Budo, as far as the Budos goes, everybody seems like they're they're hanging tough. Everybody's ordering a shit ton of beer from their local breweries.
Yeah.
It's like it's our obligation, folks.
Yeah, we all got to keep them afloat, man.
We got to keep those breweries
You know,
going, man.
we got to
That's
be there
our
for them
obligation.
today so that they're there for us tomorrow.
That's there it is, man. There it is. Well said, man.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, cheers.
Cheers. Yeah, this show keeps going this way. I'll have to make up some drinking game rules for the show, you know.
Yeah, why not, man?
Yeah. So yeah, what else was I going to talk about? We talked about Budos a little bit. We talked about family life a little bit, and we talked about teaching, and talked about New York. And I've been asking everybody so far who's been on this thing, like, what is your, you know, like, what is your prediction for this thing, man? Like this crazy COVID bullshit. Like, what do you?
I mean, honestly, you know, at this point, what are we, week 3? Nothing looks good. I'm trying to look for, you know, the light at the end of the tunnel. I'm trying to look for the positives.
Yeah.
I mean, being together with my family every day and like is sweet. And then I'm hoping, you know, by the end of this, we all just appreciate how much we enjoy the company of other people. You know what I mean? You know, how many people get on, you know, again, I live in New York, so it's like dense.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, you see people and you say hi to them and sometimes they just look at you, you know, it's like, and it's, circumstances like this might make people appreciate, like, hey, how are you doing, man? Like,
that'd be nice.
I remember they hear this little story. This is funny. Like, so here I am, you know, born in Brooklyn, grew up on Staten Island, New Yorker, and I'm walking down the street of Missoula, Montana, around, I don't know, 10 o'clock in the morning or something. I don't know what day of the week it was. I just ate breakfast, and I'm walking back to my hotel room, and I'm walking down the street in Missoula, Montana. And I look down, and no one's out, right? No one's out. And I look up the road, and I see this dude looking at me up the sidewalk. You know, this dude's looking at me, and I'm looking at him. And he's walking towards me, and I'm walking towards him. I look up again. He's looking at me again. So I start balling my fists up, and I'm like, "What's this motherfucker gonna? You know, what's this fucker up to?" And I look at him. He looks at me, and we get about 10 feet away. And he goes, "Good morning," and I said, "Good morning." Like, yeah, wow, all right, cool. Man, I was ready to go to work.
Yeah.
And this dude just walked up to me and said, "Good morning." I was like, shit, man. I've been in New York too long, man.
Yeah. He was probably plotting that halfway down the fucking street. He's like, "Oh, I can't wait to get up to that guy." Like,
Yeah.
Good morning, man.
I can't wait to say good morning to this guy. I'm like, what's this motherfucker gonna say to me, man? Yeah, I know, man. It's crazy.
You were ready.
But you know, I'm hoping by the end of all this shit, that we just appreciate each other a lot more. You know what I mean? Because right now, it's like you got to look at me like I got it, and I got to look at you like you got it.
Yeah.
And that's the only way we're going to survive. You know what I mean? Aggressive social distancing. And, like, by the end, I'm just hoping that we all just appreciate each other's company and each other's humanity. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's going to make a lot of changes in how people look at things. You know.
Yeah.
So the last one I filmed of this was with the owner of Burial Beer. And we were just talking about our thoughts on all this stuff. And like, you know, like he kind of, I think, thought that like, you know, we're going to get into this thing of being like, you know, leery of each other, even after it's over, you know?
Yeah.
And I said, you know, I could see that at first, man, but I think it's just human nature that we like to be close and intimate. We like to gather in spaces, and we like to be social creatures. We are social creatures, you know? So just like 9/11, man, I mean, you know, that shit was really profound around the time it happened. But then that tenseness, it just wears off. I mean, stuff just
you can't stay like that forever.
Yeah.
I mean, people are going to be freaked out for probably about 6 months after this shit.
Yeah.
And then a year's going to go by, 2 years are going to go by, and you know, it's going to be life as normal.
Yeah. we'll slide right like all humans do. We just slide right back into our
Yeah, man. It's like, oh, hey, man, what's up?
yeah.
But like, I want to start doing this handshake, the weapon check,
Yeah.
instead of this one,
Yeah.
because the old handshake's the weapon check. Do you have a knife? That was the old handshake, man. It was like looking for weapons on the forearm.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's cool. That's a cool, like, some of me and my D&D brothers, we do handshakes like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Real dorked out. It's like, what's up, brother? Back like that. This way, you're not grabbing their hands, you're grabbing their forearms to make sure there's no weapons in there.
Right. Oh, that's
when they wore the robes, or you know what I mean?
yeah. When you're wearing your cloaks.
The cloaks, when you're wearing cloaks.
So you play D&D with some dudes?
Yes, sir. I have the same dungeon master since 1985.
Wow, come on.
I swear, dude. I started playing Dungeons and Dragons with my next door neighbor in 1985. I was 10. He was 15. I still play Dungeons and Dragons with that same guy, Danny Dust. I am 45. He is 50.
Wow, yeah.
And we got a crew. I mean, his sons are playing.
Yeah.
His nephews are playing. We got, guys from the old neighborhood playing.
Yeah.
But, up until this bullshit, we were playing once a week for 35 years.
That's crazy.
Yeah, dude.
Are you guys able to play? You're not able to play with Zoom?
No, we're not fucking with the virtual stuff. We don't. Dungeons and Dragons, it's sort of like, it's sacrosanct, man. It's like a religion, man. I wouldn't want to do it virtually.
Mm-hmm.
But what we do to substitute a little World of Warcraft,
Mm-hmm.
little Warcraft is fun,
Mm-hmm.
late night, nothing crazy, nothing hardcore, but just to touch base.
Yeah.
But D&D, I mean, listen, to me, Dungeons and Dragons, Black Sabbath, and Frank Frazetta.
The Holy Triumvirate.
Yeah, that's right. Those three things turned me into who I am. When I was 10.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You look at Frank Frazetta's art, you play Dungeons and Dragons, you listen to Black Sabbath.
Yeah.
And it's like they just form you into a human.
Yeah.
And like the human I am was made back then, because all the things that I loved when I was 10, I still love.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love other stuff, and I know you're the same way, man. Like the art you make, the music you listen to, the aesthetic, it's the same shit that I pull my influences from. And it's like that, late 70s or 80s, it's that fantasy, like you said, Heavy Metal Magazine, and all those illustrators and all those wonderful, pieces of art that we saw growing up in the comic shop and looking at the covers of this and that. It's like that world was amazing back then, man. That's when the magic, the true magic to me is like 68 to 72. I feel like there was a fissure or some sort of opening of the magic where like people just absorbed it. Right? Like bands like, obviously Black Sabbath are the high priests, but like bands just absorbed that magic and they just ran it as far as they could. And then us kids of the 80s just, we got a couple of crystals and just, it soaked into us and it inspired us. And now here we are just running that shit as long as we can. You know what I mean? But you think about 68 to 72, I mean, those years, think about the fucking music that came out in those 4 years. 4 years of humanity. It's like unbelievable. The art, the music, the aesthetic of those 4 fucking miserable years. Not miserable, but measly years. Like only 4 years. And it's like, that shit's still feeding me to this day.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. No, I agree. I always wanted to play D&D too, man. Like I never got the opportunity. Like I was a metalhead kid, and was into comic books and fantasy stuff, just like you're saying. And I had friends who were into that same kind of stuff too, but like I just never could find anybody, any friend who would sit down and play it. It was like trying to get them to like take a math, like study for math class or something. They just they was like, man, I can't read all that shit. Like, but
Yeah.
they just,
Well, DPS, I'm hoping that somehow down the way, technology allows us, and I would gladly play Dungeons and Dragons with you, my man. I know you would love it, man. I know you would love it.
Yeah,
and I love it.
I would love
But
it.
It's such a source of inspiration, man. I mean,
Mhm.
it grew out of the Tolkien, trilogy, out of the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Mhm.
I mean, most of Dungeons and Dragons was just sort of Gary Gygax was the brainchild back in like '77, but he just smoked a lot of grass and read a lot of Tolkien.
Right.
I mean, it really, when it comes down to it all, I mean, you boil it all down, it's Tolkien.
Yeah.
Tolkien is the primogenitor. I mean, he's the dude.
Yeah.
Because you got Robert E. Howard back there doing Conan, and he had it right, of course. I mean, that stuff is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
He's definitely the godfather. But you take Howard and Tolkien and put it together, and here we are, man. We're just fucking shooting it out of different filters,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's amazing, man. I mean, you go back to Robert E. Howard in the 30s, and for me, even a little before that, like I'm a big John Carter fan, and Edgar Rice Burroughs wrote those books in like around like when World War I was happening, like in So I mean, you got all that fantasy stuff starting back then, and kind of working its way all the way down the line, and like it's awesome that stuff is still ingrained in so many people like me and you, and all the people we hang out with, like that's a long haul, man. To
absolutely, man.
Keep fascinated by something like that,
We're looking at 100 years of good stuff. I mean, yeah, even going back, I mean, Howard Pyle is an old illustrator. I mean, his stuff is beautiful, man. I mean, but yeah, I mean, you look at your heroes and you look at your heroes, and just keep pulling from all of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's amazing, man. Well, you know what, man? I like to wrap things up when we're on a good point, and the biggest part of this is that I got to piss so wicked right now. So I think it's time to wrap up, and I say let's slam this beer before we finish.
Yes, sir, David. I'm right here with you, brother.
You ready?
Cheers, my man.
Cheers.
There we go.
You beat me.
Thank you, David, for having me, man. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for being on, Brian. I really appreciate it more.
Sweet, brother.
Hey, give the family, and especially, well, not especially, but give the family, give the Budos boys my love. And
I will do, man. I will.
We'll stay in touch.
Yes, sir.
All right, buddy. Have a good one.
Cheers, David.
Cheers, buddy.
Stay healthy, brother.
You too.